moment. I just never really thought of it as that being a progression.
Yes.
I think and that's just an example of, as the journey goes along, what is it they often say?
Yes.
If you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans.
Yes. Yes.
Because your plans are you can have thoughts, but
Yes.
ultimately, I think it's about the journey and doing the best you can along the way.
Welcome to an episode of Strategic Conversations. We host insightful discussions with top business leaders. Today, we are hosting Mr. Charles McConnell, Executive Director of the Carbon Management and Energy Sustainability Program at the University of Houston. Mr. McConnell was a presidential appointee as an Assistant Secretary in the U.S. Department of Energy. Mr. McConnell has served in various executive roles. His resume you should take the time to read his resume. It is worth reading, and is considered an energy transition expert. Mr. McConnell will be a speaker at the Houston Strategy Forum's upcoming Energy Transition Symposium that will be held on September 29th. We are excited and looking forward to hosting him at that symposium. I am Ravi Kathuria, the president of the Houston Strategy Forum and author of the management and leadership book, How Cohesive is Your Company, and author of the book, Happy Soul, Hungry Mind. Strategic Conversations is hosted by the Houston Strategy Forum. If you like these conversations, please hit like and subscribe to the Houston Strategy Forum YouTube channel. Today's episode is sponsored by Cohegic, my management consulting and executive coaching firm. Thank you for joining us, and we are looking forward to a great discussion with Mr. McConnell. Sir, thank you for taking the time. We welcome you to Strategic Conversations and to the Houston Strategy Forum.
Well, it's my pleasure. I enjoy being with you.
Sir, like I mentioned in your introduction, your background is so amazing, is so deep. It is so wonderful to read all the things that you have accomplished. But from your point of view, when you look at your long and cherished background and your career, what is it that you cherish the most? What is to you the highlight of your career, sir?
Well, it's an interesting question. I think as you reflect back in your life, you always tend to have, you remember the fond memories.
Yes.
you tend to try to put aside some of the challenges along the way that were maybe less than fond.
Yes.
But I would say generally to choose something in particular, I wouldn't do that. I would say that every single moment on the journey has had its own challenges and opportunities to learn.
Yes.
Often not obvious to one at the time where you're actually doing the work or in the middle of some endeavor.
Yes.
Offered an assignment that maybe doesn't seem to be to your taste for today. But if you take the long view in terms of where you hope to ultimately be able to participate in the world and the marketplace, I have to say every single event along the way has been something that I have a lot of fond memories about. And so, I'm sorry to avoid your question, but I think really from my perspective, that's the way I look at it.
Yeah, I don't think you have avoided the question. You have actually answered the question in such a beautiful manner. It's such a philosophical perspective. All of us, every human being on earth goes through difficult times, both in our lives and in our careers. And we have to do tasks, talk about tasks such as, filling a IRS return or getting an assignment at work that we don't enjoy. But we have to do it. We have to go through and do it because one, we may not have a choice. Second, it may be a learning experience for us. So for us to have that mental attitude towards challenges and less exciting assignments at work, if all of us could develop that perspective that you have, life would certainly be a much more pleasant experience for many of us.
Well, they often say that your view of the horizon changes as you progress on the journey, right? As you
Yes.
climb the next hill, you're able to see further and do different things. I will say I started out as a plant engineer, as an operations plant engineer, taking readings and going around the plant facilities and learning from the standpoint of the ground up.
Yes.
And from that process and actually learning the basics of how equipment worked and how it was set up and how plants performed, et cetera, I was able to work my way through some plant management activities, and actually at a fairly young age was a plant manager of a very small facility, but
Yes.
nonetheless,
Yes.
I felt as though I had achieved some kind of a pinnacle.
Yes.
And at that time, in a place of feeling pretty good about oneself, I was afforded the opportunity to become a salesman. And I will tell you that my initial reaction to that opportunity was not positive.
Okay.
I mean, how am I going to go from a plant manager
Yes.
to salesman? I just never really thought of it as that being a progression.
Yes.
I think and that's just an example of, as the journey goes along, what is it they often say?
Yes.
If you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans.
Yes. Yes.
Because your plans are you can have thoughts,
yes.
but ultimately, I think it's about the journey and doing the best you can along the way.
I think it's so wonderful. If we were to meet someone who was in a position like yourself and had this sales opportunity come up, we would advise that person, him or her, to jump at it, right? Mm-hmm. Because whoever had the faith in you, whoever saw certain skill set, or maybe, there were, I don't know, it was a pressing situation, but for you to get that opportunity, I think it's so wonderful. It is career expanding.
Yeah, well, it's interesting too, as I look back too, I think it's about the trust that you have in the organization.
Yes.
And the organization is made up of people.
Yes.
And older people that had paid attention to things that were going on in my life and my career, that gave me the confidence and maybe the ability to take that leap of faith, if you will. I think, I don't know today that the ability to have those kind of intimate relationships with senior people in the organization that mentor people along the way, it's so critical. And it's the thing that provides that confidence and gives one a sense of being a part of an organization that will be there for the long term.
Yes, I want to share this. At the Energy Transition Symposium, one of your co-panelists is Ms. Stephanie Cox. She is the head of worldwide operations for the Wood Group. Mm-hmm. And she talked, when I discussed how she has made career, because her career graph is just amazing to look at. And she talked about, she spent more than 28 years at Schlumberger in various executive roles. Mm-hmm. And she talked about risk-taking and how the organization had encouraged her and others to take risk, right? Mm-hmm. And to push the envelope. Mm-hmm. And so it's the same thing. Someone took a risk on you. Someone pushed the envelope and said, let's get you in a sales role. And that's what we want is for people to have the opportunity and then the guidance so that they can, I tell this when I go speak to executive MBAs, I say, all of us have so much more potential than we even realize. We have no clue about what we are capable of. And so to watch you given that opportunity and to watch others given, I think that's wonderful.
Yeah, and often people will, today ask, well, what were the keys to success? And I don't know that there's any epiphany here, but but it's about taking the work on, doing the best that you can, learning from it,
Yes.
challenging yourself, and based on that, having a confidence that the organization will recognize it, but maybe more importantly, that you believe within yourself that you're making yourself better
Yes.
or more
Yes.
capable, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You have to always think about, am I investing in myself?
Yeah.
Our own self is the biggest investment that we can make. You know, we invest in assets, we buy homes and cars and buy stocks, but all of those, their valuations fluctuate. But the investments we make in ourselves only appreciate. So I think that is wonderful.